How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and we are here doing a follow-up video to the video I did previously about the Los Angeles Clippers, Oklahoma City Thunder situations, that went down a few days ago with Kawhi Leonard going to the Los Angeles Clippers, along with Paul George being traded from my Oklahoma City Thunder to the Los Angeles Clippers, and now rumors about Russell Westbrook being traded, demanding a trade and whatnot. So the title of this video will be the title of this CBS Sports article that we're using for the video, and that is 5 Russell Westbrook trades that might make sense. Now, obviously in the title, I'm going to be honest, it gives away the teams, but I don't want to give away the teams. I want, the trade packages at least to kind of surprised me. I've been seeing videos online of people talking about it. I've seen one local article talking about some potential trades. I'm going to be honest, man, me personally, before I even dive into this, if I had to think of 2 teams to trade Russell Westbrook to, the Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks might make the most sense, in my opinion, basketball-wise, because, the Miami Heat, they've been a popular, discussion in terms of pairing up Westbrook and Jimmy Butler. But the problem is we have 2 of Miami's first-round picks. One of them's a lottery-protected pick, and another one's unprotected. So if we trade Westbrook to the Miami Heat, of course they're going to be a lot better. And, if we have their picks, they're not going to be that valuable, especially if we send Westbrook over there. They're going to be a playoff team, probably top 5, even top 4 in the East if they get Westbrook and Butler. So, it just doesn't make sense. But the Heat, spoiler, are going to be in here, so let's just get into it. The first team that they are talking about is the Detroit Pistons. You kind of have to do a little bit of reading to basically get to the meat and potatoes of this trade, but for the Detroit Pistons, I'm just going to show you what would be traded. I'm going to show you what would basically be traded. So here we are. We're going to go to the Pistons. The trade is Reggie Jackson. Okay, so basically, here's the trade. So we got Reggie Jackson, Tony Snell. Where is Tony Snell at? So there we go. We got Reggie Jackson and Tony Snell. Luke Kennard is also in this trade, and a future first-round pick, which, I'm assuming, like I said, the game's messed up at the moment. It would technically be the 2020 picks. So, you guys get what I'm trying to say with that. So, the first trade would be Reggie Jackson, Tony Snell, Luke Kennard, and a future first-round pick for Russell Westbrook. Now, it's funny because Reggie Jackson used to be Russell Westbrook's backup for Oklahoma City. Let's see, Tony Snell is basically being thrown in here to match the salary. Luke Kennard is still an intriguing prospect. He's not special, but he's a good shooter, and shooters tend to have good longevity in the NBA. So as long as he has a good three-point shot and a good three-point stroke, and he's shooting a good percentage every year, he's going to have a longer shelf life in the NFL. He'll always find it, or not the NFL, the NBA, and he'll always find a job. I'm sorry, training camp's about to start for the NFL, so sorry if I'm missaying it. I don't really like that first trade. The Pistons, if they have Westbrook, Blake Griffin, and Drummond, their first-round pick's not going to matter. Luke Kennard is interesting. You put him next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari for a season. Who knows, man? Obviously they wouldn't be a playoff team, but they'd be fun to watch in the regular season, If they came here to Atlanta and played the Hawks, I'd definitely cop some tickets. Should have done it last year, but, I don't have 20/20 hindsight vision. I didn't think that Paul George would be getting traded, so there's that. The second one, we have the Miami Heat. Now here, let me see what it would be, because they don't really have an offer. So let's see. Bam Adebayo, Justice Winslow, Tyler Herro, and Goran Dragic. That would be the trade for Westbrook. So no picks, just getting 4 players. By getting Bam Adebayo, you'd have to trade Steven Adams, because they're basically the same kind of center. None of them stretch the floor. They can just roll to the basket, catch lobs, block shots, play great defense. You'd have to trade Steven Adams. Steven Adams is still young. He just moves around like he's old, but he's still pretty young, and you could trade him to a decent team, and they would have a great inside presence. Like, imagine Steven Adams in, like, Sacramento or something. Like, that would actually be a pretty solid fit. But let's see, yeah, Bam Adebayo, that would be cool. Justice Winslow, he's more of a point forward. You already have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now you'd have two ball handlers. But Justice Winslow has improved his three-point shot. Let me go to the Miami Heat, actually, so that way you guys have a better graphic. So, yeah, Bam Adebayo, you know, a nice young center. Like I said, a good defender. Justice Winslow, like I said, he's improved his three-point shot. His defense is getting better. He was really good at that in college, but it was just a tough transition for him. Kind of a late bloomer in his career, which is fine, man. You know, not everybody is going to come into the league and be, you know, the shit immediately, so it takes a while. Let's see here. We also have Tyler Herro, who, by the way, I know Summer League, you know, it doesn't really indicate anything. I was just having this conversation with Aaron prior to recording. Trae Young was ass in the Summer League. He finished second in Rookie of the Year. And Lonzo Ball was dominating Summer League, and here he is on the second team, and we're still waiting for him to fix his jump shot and, like, improve it. But Tyler Herro has been balling. He is a walking bucket, and I would be excited to see him in Oklahoma City next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, because he's balling out in the Summer League, and he's been one of the best players in the Summer League up to this point. And I think he will have a pretty solid NBA career. He can shoot the ball. He's proven that he can put it on the floor a little bit. I feel like he's going to have a good career. He's not going to be a superstar, but he'll always be like a high-end role player, which is fine. You know, you need role players to win championships. I'm sick and tired of everyone thinking that you have to have star power. Well, you do, but at the end of the day, the role players have to bail you out. So you kind of need role players. And then Goran Dragic being thrown in here as well. It's clearly just to match the salary. He'd probably get bought out and go to, like, the Dallas Mavericks, since they almost got him. But to be honest, I wish we could get a pick out of this, but we already have two of their picks. It just doesn't make sense to trade Westbrook to the Miami Heat. It does from, like, a basketball standpoint of, oh, we got to pair Westbrook and Jimmy Butler, which, by the way, two interesting personalities on the same team. For me, it would be like a dream in heaven. Like, it would be like a dream to have Westbrook and Butler, because I kind of embrace those alpha dogs in basketball a lot more. Especially with DeMarcus Cousins as well. I don't know, man. But to see it in Miami, and considering we have two of their first-round picks, that's going to hurt. But I'm going to be honest, this is a good return. Getting Bam, getting Tyler Herro, Justice Winslow, that's a nice haul in terms of players. To pair up with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari, you could run a lineup of Shai Gilgeous, Tyler Herro, Justice Winslow, Danilo Gallinari, and Bam Adebayo. That's a decent, you know, pretty decent young starting five out there that could all grow together and gel together. They'd still be a bad team because the West is so loaded. They'd still be like the second or third worst team out there, but they'd be a fun team to watch for sure, Oklahoma City. The third trade is going to be... It's going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is an interesting one, so let's go to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're actually division rivals, which is weird. But yeah, Andrew Wiggins is already brought up in the trade. I immediately don't like it, but let's go ahead and continue. Let's see. Andrew Wiggins, Jeff Teague. Where's Jeff Teague at? So yeah, Andrew Wiggins, Jeff Teague. And dang, this person messed up that. Where's he at? What's his name? Josh Okogie. Yeah, that would be the trade. According to CBS, no first round picks, which kind of sucks. Yeah, the intent would be to pair Westbrook and Karl Anthony Towns and have Robert Covington. I mean, Wiggins could get a fresh start with Oklahoma City. Like, he could potentially come into this new situation, low pressure situation. You're kind of the best player on the team. Maybe he'd ball out. Maybe he'd stop being complacent. He has all the talent in the world, but it's just being wasted. Andrew Wiggins, honestly, his talent's being wasted. He is one of the laziest NBA players that I've seen in quite some time. He has all this talent to be an all-star caliber player, and he's just wasting it because he's lazy. And he's got that max contract, and he's kind of just chilling. But maybe he goes to Oklahoma City. Maybe he balls out. Jeff Teague just in here to match the salary. He'll probably get bought out. And Josh Okogie, in the article, it's like, oh, the Timberwolves would be hesitant. I don't know why you'd be hesitant. He sucks. And he basically fits the profile of a lot of Oklahoma City shooting guards. Athletic, can get to the basket, but can't shoot. It fits the description perfectly of what an Oklahoma City Thunder shooting guard looks like. So I don't know why that would be hesitant of them to give him up. I mean, got Jarrett Culver, who you just drafted, who I really like. I think Tyus Jones is actually going to the Mavericks as of recording this. So, yeah, maybe you would have to keep him. But who cares, man? Who cares? He's ass anyway. But I don't like this trade at all. I mean, I don't like it. Number 4, the Orlando Magic. This could actually be interesting. Let me go to the Orlando Magic. Let's see. Aaron Gordon, Markelle Fultz, and DJ Augustine. No picks, really? Okay, and then there's an alternative one, which I'll give the alternative one here in a second. So, let's go over the first one. Aaron Gordon, Markelle Fultz, and DJ Augustine. Aaron Gordon's solid. I mean, I think this past season he also averaged 17. I know it's not going to show on the screen. He's a solid player. I feel like he's peaked. People keep thinking he's just going to get better and better. I don't see that. I feel like he's already peaked. He's a fine player. Not going to put you over the edge. Markelle Fultz is an interesting case. He's unproven, unknown. We don't really know a whole lot about him. He's barely played. Like, let's see. Like, he's barely played. How many games has he played? He's played 14 games. He hasn't even played a half a season worth of basketball, and he's been in the league for 2 years. So he's just an unknown commodity in the league. Then you have DJ Augustine, who was good for like a playoff game, and that's it. But, you know, he's a solid veteran guard. You know, he's went to the Bulls before, and he's made it work. The alternative trade would be Evan Fournier, Mo Bamba, and a future draft pick, and Markelle Fultz. Okay, so Evan Fournier, of course, you know, he'll have a 1-year deal at this point. I know the game says 2 years. It's 1 year in real life, and a player option. I would assume he opts into the player option, unless he just has a killer season and he thinks he can get 20 plus, which is possible. You know, the way that the NBA is, you know, he could definitely get a bigger bag than $17 million. Evan Fournier I'd really like on this team as well. He's a good shooter. He's one of those guys who has improved throughout his career at a pretty steady rate, man. He started out as just some guy in Denver, and he has been beasting throughout his career. Really like the growth that I've seen out of him. And then you have Mo Bamba, who is similar to Markelle Fultz, just an unproven commodity. He is actually having a pretty good summer league, last I heard and kind of saw. All I know about Mo Bamba is that Sheck West made a song about him. That's about it. And then Markelle Fultz, like we just said, unproven, but you know what? You'd have to take a chance on Markelle Fultz. His value is extremely low. Take a chance on him. What's the worst thing that can happen? And then a future draft pick, absolutely. You know, if they want to throw in a draft pick, hey, that's cool. They were a playoff team last year. They could be a playoff team again this year. I know the East just got altered a lot. They still could be a playoff team, at least an 8 seed. I'm not just going to discredit them. They definitely surprised me last season. Number 5, dear God, please don't let this happen. The Houston Rockets. Let's see. Clint Capella, Eric Gordon. Let's see. Is there anything else that's offered in this trade? Let's see. Is that it? I'm surprised they don't have Chris Paul in this. Like, everywhere else that I've seen has had Chris Paul. So what happens to Chris Paul? Anyway, so apparently, according to CBS Sports, we're getting Clint Capella and Eric Gordon. That's trash. I mean, Clint Capella is basically a diet Steven Adams. Don't at me. They're basically the same player. And then Eric Gordon, yes, he's a good three-point shooter, but something just tells me that if Oklahoma City were to trade for him, he'd get bought out anyway and go to a contender. So, it just doesn't make sense. It literally makes no sense to do this trade. Now, if you would have been like, oh, well, we'll give you Chris Paul and Eric Gordon and maybe like a Gerald Green, if you throw in a lot of different pieces in there, yeah, that would make sense. Maybe a pick, even though your picks will, be bad, not valuable. But Chris Paul, it would suck because I would want him to win a championship. But, he'd be playing for my favorite team. I like Chris Paul, a lot of respect for him, but he is old. Gets injured a lot, but he's still a pretty solid player for the most part. That I would include that in the trade, 2 ridiculous contracts. They'd have to match up. But Clint Capella, Eric Gordon, I don't really like that. So let's just go back to the Oklahoma City Thunder real quick. Which trade did I like the best? I'm actually going to rank them from 5 to 1, or technically 6 to 1, because there were 2 alternatives for the Magic. Number 6 is the Houston Rockets easily. Let's see. Number 5 is the Minnesota Timberwolves. That is a shit trade. Number 4, I would say, is the first Orlando Magic deal with Aaron Gordon and Markelle Fultz and DJ Augustine. Number 3 for me would be the Detroit Pistons offer of Reggie Jackson, Tony Snell, Luke Kennard, and a pick. My second favorite would be the second Orlando Magic deal with Evan Fournier, Markelle Fultz, and Mo Bamba in a pick. And my favorite one, to be honest with you, Miami, Bam Adebayo, Justice Winslow, Tyler Hero, and Goran Dragic. Probably my favorite one. We have a lot of picks. Tyler Hero, could be pretty solid for this team if, it's a guy who can catch and shoot, and he could put it on the floor a little bit. Justice Winslow can play on and off the ball. Pretty solid defender as well. Bam Adebayo, a nice young center. You can trade Steven Adams to get more picks and, maybe an asset. And then Goran Dragic, probably going to get bought out. Or you could trade him to the Dallas Mavericks for a young player and a second-round pick. However you decide to do it, just kind of use your imagination. But that's all I really have to say. I know this video was a little bit longer than intended to be, but this week we should be doing a podcast about free agency. I don't know if it'll be live, pre-recorded. Should be doing that with Aaron this week, maybe Wednesday. I'm going to be busy the next couple of days. So, yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, homies.